So you talking over their head about why we're the best methodology, you need to do X, Y, Z does not matter to them. What matters is what looks sometimes the nicest, what has the best. Like this day and age, you have 3 seconds now to grab somebody's attention. If you put your imagery versus the X4s, the OTFs, what's going to look better? 90% of the time, you're going to lose.
You're an inspiration to our entire organization.
Welcome to the Gym Marketing Made Simple podcast. We're going to be talking the done-for-you marketing and sales strategies proven to work with boutique fitness gyms to increase quality lead flow and grow your revenue. Don't try to be a professional marketer and waste tons of money. Let the experts at Lasso do it for you. And now, here are your hosts, Blake Ruff and Sherman Merritt.
All right, guys, here we go. Another episode of Gym Marketing Made Simple. Sherman here with Blake and Tommy. Guys, listen, we're going to jump right into it because we want to prepare you guys for 2026. We know that 2026 is going to be a great year for you guys. So we want to talk about what's actually going to get you there. And this first episode, we're going to talk about some of the advice that's out there. And it basically comes down to why some of these mentorship companies are wrong about some of the advice they're giving you. Again, not all the advice they're giving you, but some of the advice they're putting out there, it's flat out wrong and it's based in space, like it's sci-fi, like it's not real. And we're gonna jump into a little bit of that. Blake, I'm gonna let you start it off, and then we're just gonna run with this because we're gonna have a good time.
You want me to be the guy, huh? All right. So I know. And I was just on a call actually with our buddy Trey at SiteFit. And the reason that a lot of these mentor companies tell you not to run paid ads is because they look incompetent when they don't know how to do it and explain it to their own clients. So therefore they tell them they don't need it because they don't actually know how to do it, and they don't look like a full encompassing mentor company. And I said this on like my last podcast episode a couple ago. If you look at any sports, Michael Jordan, Kobe, like any great baseball player, right? And you say, what are they doing to get that great? I should be doing things like that to be as good as them. And I say that in simply terms of, if you know you're getting crushed by franchises and they're growing fast, they're opening with 300 to 400 members, they're opening multiple locations, they're doing all this, why would you not do the same things that they're doing? And I'm not saying paid ads is the only thing they're doing. We can be honest and say they're not. Everybody on this listening to this probably can say Orange Theory's coaches are not the best coaches in the world. But they're not worried about coaching. They're more just cheerleaders and make sure that you're happy there. So if they're not worried about high-end certifications, but they have 400 members, you can check that off, that like coaching is not going to grow your business. It might help keep a few people, but it's not why people come, right? 2, they spend $5,000 to $7,000 a month in paid ads before they open. And after they open, probably $3,000 to $5,000, and they're growing faster. So why in the world would any mentor company tell you not to run paid ads until you're at 200 plus members and you're just going to keep dying to these other facilities? So yes, there are some points of the business. Yes, you need foundations of the business. Yes, you need to have business acumen. Yes, you need to know your numbers. But and we've heard this like 2 times in the last 2 clients that signed up that are great, I think are going to be really great clients. I am in these mentor companies and I'm feeling like I'm not getting anything out of it. My coach tells me, hey, I don't really know what to give you. Or they're giving you all this stuff. Like, I'll just say it. The last person we signed up was with Best Hour. And they said, I've learned a few things, but I was doing everything already. I was doing $30,000 a month. None of that grew my business. The other client was a 2-brand client doing $45,000, saying, my coach and my mentor was just like, I don't have anything else to give you. when you are the best player on your team, aka you're the best, you probably are one of the highest revenues in the mentor company, it's time to be on a different team. And you need to find somebody else that's going to help you grow. So that was my mini rant. Sherman and Tommy, I'll let you chime in. You can expand on that, whatever you guys want.
I'm going to let Tommy jump in there because I know Tommy wants to say something. He's going to get some numbers behind it because. So Tommy, I'll let you go a little bit before I jump back in.
No, I'll be nicer about it. So I think where we have disagreements with mentorship companies is just when your advice no longer applies to the client that's sitting in front of you. I've seen Best Hour seems to be operating like we're still in the 2016, 2017, 2018 CrossFit days, and that's just not reality. Anything I've heard them say, like a lot of it's really good, but recently I heard 50% lead to close, and I'm like, that's just not based in reality. So like the advice that comes after that assumption no longer applies or is no longer legitimate just because it's not based in reality. And then I've also seen like, Two Brain, like they were the cream of the crop from 2016 onward. But I think even in the last 3 years, the marketplace has changed to where if we're still having conversations around basic fundamentals and we're extending that out over a 1 to 2 year period, as a gym owner in 2026, you're just not moving fast enough to keep up with the market. And I'm not saying that makes paid ads your saving grace. It's just more of, we need to have an honest conversation of when basic advice no longer applies to your business. We need to have a conversation around like your mindset as a gym owner. What are you trying to do with this thing? If you love coaching and you love being on the floor and you're not trying to like grow this huge thing, that could be fine for a certain period of time. If you are trying to grow and you are trying to like get out of the day-to-day, you are trying to have a sellable asset. The advice I'm hearing in a lot of these echo chambers, everyone's super hyper focused on the day-to-day. I'm zooming out and saying like, you guys are trying to get the client from home plate to first base, and you're not looking at the entire diamond anymore in terms of what you're trying to do. And so, like Blake said, I'm not here I'm a gym owner first. I love helping clients. I love knowing what tool to apply to the problem that they have when they have it. And it's okay for me to say, hey, paid ads isn't the right lever to pull right now. If you have a huge retention problem and you have 60 clients, yeah, maybe focus on your coaching and systems for a while. But like, if you're bumping up that like 15 to 20K and you're like, what's the next thing? I have the systems, I have the coaching down. I have a clear vision of where I'm trying to take my gym. And all you're hearing is this templated advice that works really well in startup stages, but doesn't allow you to scale up. Like that's just the market telling you. You're like what Blake said, you're just in the wrong circle. You need to go find a new circle of people. And I think these mentorship companies do an incredible job in the early stages of business. And I think it would just be nice for them to say, and I know where my scope of practice ends, and that's when your business gets here. I can no longer help you. I'm not a marketing expert. I'm not a leadership development expert. You guys need to go find a different circle. That's all I wish from these people. That's it. So that's just where I disagree.
Yeah. That's one of the things, Tommy, Blake, that we've talked about. This is the reason that we got to the point, not too long ago where we said, okay, because we were having some of these conversations with clients that just weren't a great fit. And then we would say, okay, what's the sort of common theme? And then we realized, you know what? Gyms that are doing, 15 grand and less, they just have too much stuff going on. They have too many gaps to fill. So we wouldn't be a great fit for them. Yes, we can help them. But even when we help them, it's just like our scope of work isn't great for gyms doing sub 15K. So we said, okay, to be fair to everyone, yes, that may mean we make less money because we could sign up some of those gyms. But going back to what you're saying, Tommy, I believe that, think about it with some of these companies, these gyms start with them, and they go from a little bit of revenue to a decent amount of revenue. And they hit a point, because we hear it all the time on these sales calls. Oh, I've been with insert whatever mentoring you want for a long time, but my revenue has stayed around this revenue for the last 12 months, 6 months, 18 months. I just can't seem to get over it. So I just believe, paid ads is the next best thing for me. And then we talk to them and say, hey, yeah, let's do it. Let's take you from 25K to 50K. So I agree with you wholeheartedly on that. I think that as the industry gets smaller, because micro gyms are going to get smaller in the next 5 years, I believe. We need to know exactly where we sit in the pecking order, right? I'm talking about that all of us. Everyone's just trying to help gym owners, because if we don't, we're doing a disservice to these guys and girls that could work with us up to a certain point. Then they have to move on or work with someone else. But then at the point, because at the end of the day, we want everyone to continue to level up. But when you sort of have that scarcity mindset of, hey, we're just gonna try to create another program so they stick around, and so we got to get them together, and girls doing 50K a month. We're gonna write stuff on paper and throw it in the trash and try to get their mind right. Like, that's just not doing anyone anything good long term. So guys, if you're in that spot where you're beating your head against the wall saying, man, I'm doing the things, I have all this basic stuff, but I still can't grow, and you're not running paid marketing, you definitely should reach out to us and let's have a conversation, right? Because that conversation could definitely take your business from 30K to 60K. We've done it numerous times.
Yeah, but in order for us to be successful at that, like to Blake's point, like you do have to have the basics in place, you guys. Like we're an amplifier of your best practices and your worst practices. So like that's where it's like the fundamentals do matter. We're not saying here that like the basic fundamentals of business don't apply. They very much apply. But once you have that dialed in, it's kind of like if you're hearing from your coach, I have nothing for you, that's a telltale sign that you need to put yourself in a different room if your goal is to keep scaling up. I know a lot of gym owners that they're happy with what they have. And as long as they know what that trade-off is, like, hey, cool, you have a business, you could probably sell it for 1.5 to 3 times seller discretionary earnings. And that's what like I always say, that's the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow for you. As long as you're aware of that and you're making that decision, totally fine. That is your right to make that decision. If that doesn't inspire you and you want to push further, the advice coming from that circle no longer applies to you.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. One of the biggest things that I've noticed lately is, people sort of button up against, man, I want to grow, but what does that really look like? Because let's be honest, once you get to a certain amount of revenue, whatever that is, 25, 30 plus, you have a decent business, right? Like, the business is decent. Yes, you still have some holes and stuff like that you could plug, but if you grow a gym to 30 plus K, like, you figured some things out. But I believe going from 30K to 60K is the thing that sort of keeps gym owners up at night, right? Once you get to that level, because you have enough success where you could sit back and just rely on your laurels and say, hey, like, we're good enough here. But because we have some gyms come to us and they're doing fine, right? Like, we just signed up a gym doing about 40K per month, and they just want more. They're hungry. They're like, hey, we're not looking at this as something that needs to happen in 6 months. Like, this is, as long as you start off in the beginning where we are making more money than we're spending, we're fine with this. Like, let's really grow this. So as we continue to grow and scale in 2026, I'm excited to see us take more gyms that are already very healthy to new places. Tommy, I mean, let's sort of use your gym as a case study. You know the numbers. So where did you start with us? Because I can't remember. Where did you start with us? And then where have you gone?
Yeah, so when I first signed up, we were monthly reoccurring was right around 42,000. Last month we were just shy of 80 last month. And we're opening up a second location. We're probably going to get to that number in half the amount of time it took me for location 1. So like, but a couple of things, Sherman, like, I was very clear on what I needed. I was very clear on the model I was running. I was very clear on the math. I was like, hey, like, in order for this whole endeavor as a gym owner to give me what I need as a gym owner, I need to get to this level. In order for me to get to this level, I need to put myself in a different circle of people. I need to reach out to different types of strategic partners, and it needs to go beyond what I had already conquered, which was being one of the higher performer gyms in the mentorship group I was in at the time, right? So I was like, I got to find a different circle. And that's not to like poo-poo. It's just the recognition of like, okay, cool, I conquered this mountain. I'm trying to get to the next peak. What needs to be true in order for me to get there? And then just surround myself with people that allowed me or supported me to do that.
Yeah. So Tommy, tell me this, because I can't remember our exact conversation. It's been so long, but I remember you coming to us, and I'm Blake and I getting off the call saying, man, this guy really, like, he's really in tune to what he wants to do. So you having that much clarity on the front end, I believe that that's what really helped you, 2x your revenue over the last couple of years, because at times we have folks come to us and they're just like, I just want to grow. And we just know, like, long term, that's not a play, because we've had gyms grow consistently forever, and then there still comes us and say, I don't know if this is really worth it. So, when gyms come to us, what do you think are some of the clear points they need to have in their mind as far as what they want to achieve?
Yeah, and actually, Stu Brower just put out a post on his WTF Instagram handle. I would start at the end of the story, and I know it's kind of rare to start here, but I would start with, okay, like, what does life look like at the end of this thing? Like, what are you trying to do at the end? And most people probably haven't even asked themselves the question, are you trying to sell it? Are you trying to liquidate it? Are you going to hand it off to a coach? What are we doing? Like, what's your ideal world? Because if we start there, then we can get realistic about what the rest of their business model needs to look like to support that goal. If it's kind of like, hey, at the end of this, like, maybe I just hand it off to a coach, I'd be like, okay, cool. You could probably run a pretty basic stratified model, get you to like $500,000 a year in revenue, just depending on like what market you're in. Hire that one coach and then create an incentive structure to start offloading equity or ownership to them, where they pay you out over the course of 10 to 15 years. If you're kind of like, no, this is going to be the main mechanism for me to exit at a nice multiple, I need you to have multiple locations. I need you thinking bigger. Like, I need you thinking like not just one location, 2 locations. And if you're trying to get there quickly, like, there's not enough bring a friend weeks that are going to allow you to do that. So like, it's more of just understanding what the gym owner is trying to do and giving them honest advice of like, hey, look, if you're trying to enter any type of competitive marketplace right now as a CrossFit affiliate, I'm going to tell you right now, you're going to have a really tough time, like just a really tough time. And that's just based on CrossFit's been around forever. It's a very inefficient op cap type model where like you have other players in the market that can do 80% of what CrossFit can do, but at a higher, better operational capacity, better margins, lower square footage, better systems. Like it's just being very clear with the person of like, hey, if your passion is CrossFit, there is a way to do it that can accomplish the goal for you. But if we're still giving advice based on what was true in 2012 to 2016, you're going to have a really, really hard time. And again, that's where I get into conflict with some of these mentorship companies, because I'm like, we're just banging the drum of keep doing what we did a decade ago. And I'm telling you, you're going to get left behind. Like, maybe if you're in the middle of nowhere and you're the only CrossFit affiliate, you're going to do incredibly well. You're going to be fine for an extended period of time. If you're in a competitive market, it's going to be a lot tougher over the next 5 to 10 years. And that's just based on thinking strategically about, well, what are some of the competitive advantages of some of the concepts that are out there? And at the end of the day, Blake Blake gave out the examples of like OTF and F45 and metabolic. And I know what he meant by that. He's not saying your CrossFit gym or your micro gym is exactly like that. But what he's pointing out is there's more accessible concepts coming out that are going to outspend you and just capture more of the market of Gen Pop that's looking for fitness. So if you are looking for CrossFit, you're going to be fine. But I think we've kind of exhausted that population of people just given the fact that it's been around for 25 years. So how do we enter new markets of people who don't know, like, and trust you? And if you're going to enter those markets and there's other concepts out there, you got to be able to compete with them on very basic business things. That's all I'm saying. It's not a poo-poo on CrossFit or anything like that. I think it's a wonderful methodology. I think it works really, really well in certain markets, but like, just to give that blanket advice to the entire like marketplace, I don't want to go as far as say it's reckless. I just think we're not looking at the bigger picture of what's going on in the industry right now.
And I think too, if you're listening to this, that the average consumer and lead doesn't know the difference between you, CrossFit, I'm saying CrossFit, OTF, Metabolic, X4. All they care about is who can get me the desired result. You might think that CrossFit is the best methodology in the world. They don't care about the methodology. Can I look better? Can I feel better? Can I lose weight? Right? That's all they care about. So you talking over their head about why we're the best methodology, you need to do X, Y, Z, does not matter to them. What matters is what looks sometimes the nicest, what has the best. Like this day and age, you have 3 seconds now to grab somebody's attention. If you put your imagery versus the X4s, the OTFs, what's going to look better, 90% of the time you're going to lose. So if you're the consumer and you're going to buy something, right? And let's just think a product based. If a product, let's use a restaurant. If this steak looks better than that steak, which one are you going to pick? You don't care how the steak's cooked. It just looks more appealing. So you're going to go there. And people make buying decisions off what grabs their attention. And then if you go a layer deeper, they probably have better lead nurture. They probably have better systems and processes set up. They're probably going to get back to you and call you endless amounts of times. So over and over, they're going to win. And I would say on top of it, let's just say this. Let's say you are running ads. And let's just say, and this is no offense, but like a lot of boutique gyms don't have $7,000 to spend per month. But let's say you're spending $1,000. And let's say the Orange Theory is spending $5,000. Essentially, a lead is going to see that 5x more. So what are they going to think about when it comes to fitness? And it's going to look more professional. And it's going to probably have a better video if you don't have a videographer. So they're looking at a premier service, or it's in their mind, right? It doesn't matter what it actually is, but in their mind, they perceive that it's premium, that it's a lot nicer than, you know, an infographic or something you put up, or, you know, a CrossFit-S type gym, right? And so which one are they going to pick? They're probably going to pick the one that they see more often, because seeing something more often, A, it recognizes the brand, A, it builds trust. And so therefore they're going to pick that person. So I think what we're saying, well, I know what I'm saying, but like Tommy, what also we're saying is like, yes, being a CrossFit gym, we've all owned CrossFit gyms. So I am not knocking CrossFit gyms at all. But to the average consumer, they don't care about the methodology. They care what, like, hey, I'm going to spend $200. I want it to look good. I want it to look like look and feel like $200, right? And if it doesn't look and feel like it's $200, I'm not going to go there. But if you're spending no money on marketing, not only are they seeing 5 to 6 times all these other franchises, they're seeing you zero because you're not paying for anything. And you think that, and this is like, I'll just say it, like, this is the most crazy, bizarre thought to me, is like, how are you going to grow your gym? Oh, we're just going to do bring a friend days. Like, that's your marketing plan. Like, you think that's going to work long term. So you're going to do that once every quarter, and that's going to be your plan to grow your business. It's not going to work. Like, you'll have a little influx, then it'll go back down. Oh, I got to do another one. And then it's just crazy to me to not have like, you can do those and be unpredictable, or you can be predictable. And I know, and like the guy we got on call with, yes, it was yesterday or 2 days ago, I had my last 2 years of data prepared for you. And we're like, this dude's on it, right? Like, he can make decisions. And the last thing is, these organizations and franchises know their numbers. They know that they're not, like you said earlier, Tommy, 50% close rate. Well, actually, OTF's gold standard is 15% lead to close. They know that. So now they can make decisions on spending to get to where they need to be, because they actually have the correct data.
Yeah. No, that's good. Let's we're gonna cut it off here because we're gonna do a couple of them, guys. So, guys, as always, tell a friend to tune in, and we'll chat with you guys next week.
Yeah. Thank you for listening to the Gym Marketing Made Simple podcast with Blake Ruff and Sherman Merricks. We hope you enjoyed. We believe marketing should increase revenue and not waste money. So book your free call today. Head on over to lassoframework.com. That's LASSOFRAMEWORK.com and find the right words, get more customers, and increase your revenue. We'll see you here next time.